Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Gana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopi Gana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Yashodanandana Brajaganarandana Yashodanandana Brajaganarandana Jamuna Tira Vanasari Jamuna Tira Vanasari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Gana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopi Gana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Yashodanandana Brajaganarandana Yashodanandana Brajaganarandana Jamuna Tira Vanasari Jamuna Tira Vanasari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Jayam Vishupad Paramahamsa Pri Vrajgacharya Stotra Sapta Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhai Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Skandiviti Founder Acharyas Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Samaveta Bhakti Vrinda Ki Harinam Sankirtan Ki Ramtara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Janitai Gaura Pimanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru, to Sri Gauranga. All glories to Sri Prabhupada. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Sarakaya Chakshurindalitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Kamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagradatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakanvitam Scha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Vyayevasya Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Dharam Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a very means of conquest, let us first offer our respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Nara, Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayesha badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamashloke Bhaktir Bhaviti Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering a service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed or practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, it becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam Utamashloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreya Sayalokasya Dhanyam Swasyaya Namaha. This Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God as Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara, Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Sarabhyaya Namaha. Om Sarabhyaya Namaha. Om Sarabhyaya Namaha. Mukam karoti vātalam pangum langayate girim yadkripa tamaham bandhu Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Yadkripa tamaham bandhu Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna. Welcome to our morning Bhagavatam class. We are continuing to read from the 11th canto, chapter 17, entitled Description of the Varnasana System. And today's text is, I believe, 14, right? 1-4. Grihasramo Jaganato Brahmacharyam Rido Mama Vaksaha Stalad Vane Vasaha Sanyasaha Shirasi Stitaha Grihasramo Jaganato Brahmacharyam Rido Mama Vaksha Stalad Vane Vasaha Sanyasa Shirasi Stitaha Grihasramo Jaganato Brahmacharyam Rido Mama Vaksha Stalad Vane Vasaha Sanyasa shirasi stitaha grihasramo jaganato brahmacharyam rido mama bhaksha stalad vane vasaha sannyasa shirasi stitaha grihasramo jaganato brahmacharyam rido mama bhaksha stalad vane vasaha sannyasa shirasi stitaha grihasramo jaganato brahmacharyam rido mama bhaksha stalad vane vasaha sannyasa shirasi stitaha grihasramo jaganato brahmacharyam rido mama bhaksha stalad vane vasaha sannyasa shirasi stitaha grihasramo jaganato
brahmacharyam rido mama
brahmacharyam rido mama bhaksha stalad vane vasaha
sannyasa shirasi stitaha
sannyasa shirasi stitaha grihasramo jaganato brahmacharyam rido mama stalad vane vasaha sannyasa shirasi stitaha grihasramo griha asramaha married life jaganataha from the loins brahmacharyam celibate student life ridaha from the heart mama my vakshaha stalat from the chest vane in the forest vasaha dwelling sannyasa the renounced order of life shirasi in the head stitaha situated. Translation and purport by disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. The married order of life appeared from the loins of my universal form, and the celibate students came from my heart. The forest-dwelling retired order of life appeared from my chest, and the renounced order of life was situated within the head of my universal form. Kind of repeat after me. The married order of life appeared from the loins of my universal form. And the celibate students came from my heart. The forest-dwelling retired order of life appeared from my chest. And the renounced order of life was situated within the head of my universal form. Purport. There are two classes of brahmachari life. The Naistiki brahmachari remains celibate throughout life Whereas the Upakurvana brahmachari marries finishing his student life. One who remains perpetually celibate is situated within the heart of Lord Krishna. But those brahmacharis who eventually marry are situated within the loins of the universal form of the Lord. The word Vanivasaha refers to Vanaprastha, or the retired order of life, which is situated on the chest of the Lord. Translation again: the married order of life appeared from the loins of my universal form, and the celibate students come from my heart. The forest-dwelling retired order of life appeared from my chest, and the renounced order of life was situated within the head of my universal form. So this reference to forest-dwelling retired order of life is Vanaprastha. So this chapter is an exchange actually between Lord Krishna and Uddhava on the subject matter of Varnashrama Dharma. And the previous verse was referring to the social orders called Varna, and today the ashramas, beginning with brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyas. Prabhupada makes the point here regarding two classes of brahmachari life. Actually, in the Vedic culture, as we know, within the system of varna and asrama, there is only one ashram where sex life is actually allowed, and that, of course, is grihastha ashram. And that means that brahmachari life, vanaprastha life, and sannyas life are meant to be performed in total abstinence. And even grihastha life, this is being pointed out here, if one has been properly trained, that was one of the main features in brahmachari training that was given in Gurukula. One would remain celibate throughout his years of study, not mixing in any way with the opposite sex. And one had a choice of either remaining celibate for the entire life or of entering householder life, knowing that it would be only for a few years. A few years means generally about 25 years. Srila Prabhupada wrote a small essay many years ago called Gita Nagari, and he speaks about the training of young boys in what he referred as the Gita Patshala, Gurukul. Yeah. That was the standard before. Gurukula, especially for training most ideal class of men, means brahmanas. Primarily, Gurukula is for teaching especially Brahmanas. Also, Gurukul is there for training Kshatriyas. So in that essay, Gita Nagari, Prabhupada mentions how young boys, very interesting actually, he mentions, we will not accept boys over the age of 7. What does that mean? It means that from very early age, one should be receiving this type of training and education. And so from the age of 7 to the age of 20, approximately, that means about 13 years, one who is in Gurukul should receive this Vedic knowledge and remain full celibate student. If one has undergone this kind of training, then he has the choice of either being an ideal brahmachari or becoming an ideal grihastha. Ideal brahmachari, of course, is just like the spiritual master of our founder Acharya, the Divine Grace of the Prabhupada. His Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, was lifelong brahmachari. Grandfather Bhishmadev was lifelong brahmachari. And Prabhupada explains how one who chooses, after receiving this kind of training, one who chooses to marry, he is known as a grihastha brahmachari. He has entered grihastha life, but he still follows the Vedic process or system of actually having sex life for the primary purpose of procreation. One of my godbrothers, quite some years back, had mentioned he had the good fortune of serving one of our sannyasis, who is no longer with us. I think many of you may know him, His Holiness Gaur Govinda Maharaj, who was from Orissa. Gaur Govinda Maharaj actually was, in the early days when Prabhupada was just beginning his preaching here in India and establishing his main 3 temples, Mayapur, Vrindavan, and Mumbai. So there were not so many devotees at that time. And the Krishna Balaram temple was still under construction. So one fine day, because it was somewhat of a sensation in the early days to see foreigners dressed in dhoti, wearing tilak, holding danda and performing sankirtan like that. So different people were visiting, although still in the early days at the Krishna Balaram temple. And one day, kind of middle-aged man, India is the land of sadhus, so many people, they go, sometimes they leave at a very young age, or they leave after married life, and they'll wander from one holy place to another. So Gaur Govinda Maharaj, he was previously in householder life. He was an English teacher, actually, quite educated, very well read in Shastra. And he was, like many people do in India, it's like natural, he was looking for a guru. So he was traveling from one holy place to another, and like that. Finally came to Vrindavan, and because he'd been traveling, his dress was not like our, brahmacharis who do life membership in Mumbai, nicely neat and pressed, and like new. His cloth was torn and dirty, and so but he saw this big billboard, you know, A.C. Bhaktivedanta, ISKCON International Society, and he saw these foreigners, and so he wanted to see Srila Prabhupada. So he asked permission, and they looked at him and said, no. Prabhupada's busy, whatever. Anyway, somehow he was quite determined, and somehow he entered in Prabhupada's room when nobody was there. And immediately Srila Prabhupada, on that first exchange, he could understand that this person is ready for sannyas. And on that first exchange, after asking a few questions, where you're from, like that, he gave him two instructions. He said, because you're from Orissa, I want you to translate all of my books in Odia. Same instruction actually Prabhupada gave to Bhakti Siddha Maharaj seeing him the first time, many years ago. Traveling in a train, actually. First encounter. You know? And then the second instruction, he said, and I'll give you sannyas also. So within a relatively short time, he took sannyas. And then Prabhupada gave him the mission to, you open a temple in Bhubaneswar. At that time, there was nothing in Bhubaneswar. And then someone donated some land close to the highway. I remember going there in the early days when there was nothing but two small huts. One was for Srila Prabhupada and one was for brahmacharis, and Maharaj was staying very close to the highway, and totally barren land, and all the trucks were going by, you know, by the side of the highway. Anyways, with great difficulty and over a period of time, things started to develop. And now, as you may know, we have a very beautiful temple in Bhubaneswar. So there was one devotee, because he was alone, Prabhupada assigned one devotee by the name of Bhagavat to be with him and to preach. So this was the devotee from America. It was tough. You know, it was very, the early days, practically in all the temples, whether it's Mumbai or Mayapur, Vrindavan, it was very austere. So he spent a lot of time, this devotee Bhagavat. So years later, after Maharaj actually did a lot of preaching and actually left this world, one time he was reminiscing. He was reminiscing about the life of His Holiness Gaur Govinda Maharaj. And then he told, in one of the conversations I had with Maharaj, so Maharaj had like, as a grihastha, I think he had maybe 6 or 7 children. So he told Bhagavat, he says, yes, I was a householder. And in my life, I had sex life 7 times. You know, so this is, I mean, especially in Kali Yuga now, extremely rare. But the point being that this is what proper training, this is what is meant to take place or happen when the system of Varna and Ashrama is in place. When the Varnashrama system is in place, we have the possibility of getting personalities who are very strong spiritually and who are very powerful in their practice of Krishna consciousness and who are very effective in their preaching as well. And that is one of the many reasons, you know, why Srila Prabhupada emphasized the need. It's one of the central aspects, we could say, of the Vedic culture, the need for training and education. The need for training and education in the Vedic prescribed practices which one learns in Gurukula, and also the training within the recommended lifestyle. There's a recommended lifestyle. This will be is covered in various places. This is the 11th canto, Krishna speaking about Varnasrama. Before this presentation, in the 7th canto, Narada Muni quite extensively speaks about Varnasrama system. And in his presentation, he discusses the importance, the need, the absolute necessity actually of developing various qualities, 30 qualities, actually 21 qualities, 21 qualities that a human being should develop. And then the 9 practices of bhakti, beginning with Sravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, up until Atma Nivedanam. Yeah. So these 29 qualities, beginning with Satyam, Daya, Tapa, Saucham, and ending with Sravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, make up actually the practices and the qualities that an ideal human being should develop. And therefore, within that system, everyone understands, although the majority of people will enter householder life, they will have been properly educated, properly trained, and they will know when to come out of householder life also, isn't it? Vanaprastha. Vanaprastha is a very important stage in one's life where one actually gives up various attachments that might still be there and fully concentrates and dedicates oneself. Actually, amongst people who take Vanaprastha, devotees who take Vanaprastha, many would become involved in either preaching, direct preaching activities, or in teaching as well, the various activities. Because in the one book called Light of the Bhagavat, who has read Light of the Bhagavat? Yeah, Light of the Bhagavat, I highly recommend Prabhupada's book, which he wrote, I think maybe something like just a few years before going to the West. Prabhupada went to the West in 1965, so maybe it was 1962 or something. And in that book, Light of the Bhagavat, Prabhupada mentions how people should retire at the age of 50. Vedic culture. I mean, he's speaking about politicians. We should send a copy of that book to all of our MPs. Because, age of 51 is if one has lived properly, nicely, if one has been trained, then one is still quite healthy. And can be active in different ways like this. Unfortunately, that is not followed in modern day society. So this chapter is giving us a glimpse of of how one should live within these 4 varnas and these 4 ashramas. And of course, for us as devotees, the main foremost activity is to be engaged in devotional service to Krishna, but to work within these 4 varnas and ashramas. So that verse is there. tapasya, tapasya brahmacharyena samena cha damena cha. Tapasya, which is one of the four, tapasya, austerity, one of the four pillars actually of dharma. The whole Vedic culture is strongly established on these four pillars of dharma. And therefore that means that if we want to be successful in establishing, in re-establishing, in reviving Vedic culture, which is one of the foremost aims and objectives of the Krishna consciousness movement, then we need individuals who will be very strongly established in these four pillars of dharma. And it's nicely described actually in the first canto. We were reading that verse the other day. The first canto of the Bhagavatam, second chapter, first canto, second chapter, entitled Divinity and Divine Service. The systematic way by which we come from the lower modes of nature is nicely explained. The idea is to become situated in the mode of goodness, whereby with a peaceful mind we can nicely execute our activities of bhakti, of devotional service. So whole Vedic culture is in this way facilitating individuals and society in general to be situated in the mode of goodness, to minimize our material activities that tend to entangle us, and to always, actually in some lectures Prabhupada just directly mentions actually our only business in life, our only business should simply be to focus on how to advance in spiritual life. Everything else actually is secondary, because everything else that's happening is happening beyond our control, isn't it? What happiness will come, what distress will come. Most people are in the modern world, or whenever in society where there is a lack of Krishna consciousness, majority of people are endeavoring very hard to either increase, isn't it, their happiness, or they're working very hard to avoid unhappiness. Isn't it? People, that's their focus. How to be more happy. So if I get a better job, I'll make more money. This kind of mentality is there. But in the Vedic culture, we know, we're supposed to know, we're supposed to know, and we're supposed to keep in mind that this is very secondary. I mean, this is not at all not at all necessary to focus on how to become more happy or how to be less experiencing suffering, because that's all predetermined, isn't it? Our main business, our only business, is to focus on advancing in spiritual life, and the best method or the best way, the best system is the one that we are reading about, that Lord Krishna explains, within the system of Varna and Ashrama, which is, of course, a topic that comes up again and again, and that is not everyone's favorite topic for different reasons, but because it's there in the pages of the Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad Gita, it's a topic we cannot avoid, and it's a topic we should try to understand, not only understand, but actually implement as well. Yeah. So, whether we have any inquisitive souls this morning?
So
Yes.
is brahmacharya better or grihastha better to go back to Godhead?
What is it?
Is the brahmacharya ashram better or grihastha ashram better?
This is called a tricky question.
Mataji is asking this on
Tricky.
behalf of the Mataji's or general question. Because Mataji's got a different.
Actually, it is irrelevant which ashram we belong to. What is important is the consciousness we develop. So, for example, Ramananda Rai, he was a grihastha, not even in the Brahmana family, but Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was hearing from him. Ramananda Rai was taking the role of guru. He was a guru, he was teaching sannyasi. So because he had very high level of understanding and realization. So regardless of which ashram, just like for example, in the context of varnashrama, whether one is a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya or Shudra, regardless, within Daiva Varnashrama, because within Daiva Varnashrama everyone is meant to be engaged in primarily activities of bhakti. So anyone within any of these varnas can actually become a pure devotee. Traditionally, we never think that somebody who's like performing activities of a Shudra can become a pure devotee. Of course, there's so many negative connotations to the word Shudra, but Shudra actually means an ideal servant. And ultimately, that's the definition of Krishna consciousness. To be, what's an ideal devotee? An ideal devotee is an ideal servant. Das anu das anu das. Jive Swarup hoy, Krishna Nitya Das. Das. Das means servant. So, in Varnashrama, everyone develops that service mood, that service mentality. Yeah. One lecture Prabhupada is telling, the spiritual master, because he has been given the task or the service of training his disciples, he considers his disciples actually as his guru. He is their servant.
It's like doing Sirsasana.
Yeah. So that's why when devotees and non-devotees speak, there's going to be gaps. It's like they won't understand each other. Because the perception, the understanding is different. Yeah. Devotees are trained and are meant to see things Shastra Chakshu, through the eyes of Shastra, not ordinary. I often recall this one short story that in Mayapur many years ago, one devotee who was GBC was, this was in a Bhagavatam class. I think at the end of the class, he was just wanting to make a point similar to what we're talking now. He was talking about the great Greek philosophers. I think Plato or Aristotle, one of them, who was, had thousands of disciples, very famous, so learned, Everyone was worshiping him, except his wife. His wife was always nagging him. And so one day, this one person who was close to Aristotle. He was telling, "You're such an exalted person. You're so fortunate. You have so many disciples, and you're doing such great service in society. It's so bad that you have such a nagging wife." Immediately said, "Don't speak negatively about my wife. She is my guru.
Yes. So that answers Grasa life is a quicker realization.
She is my guru because she's helping me to be tolerant. Yeah. So it's a question of hearing nicely what is there in the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, keeping good association, developing proper consciousness. So from any varna, from any asrama, one can go back home, back to God. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Time permits.
Yes.
Once we are seeing the sequence of these verses that are coming in, it's organized according to the influence of time actually.
Yes.
Satyuga and then we know that we are in Kali Yuga actually.
Yes.
So it's very, very challenging. I'm speaking from a place like country like India, where even if you want to set up some, because how do we insulate the residents from the influence of the external society? Because we have limited land. It could be possible in some countries where land is available sufficient. There we can insulate the residents.
Like in Canada. Where there's lots of land.
Yeah, it's impossible because the way the villages are developing. Every village is developing into a town to city.
Yeah. Villages are becoming urbanized.
Yeah. So
Yeah. So what to do, huh?
insulating from this influence of the.
Yes.
It's a Kali actually. I mean, it's a progress of Kali Yuga actually.
Yes, yes, yes.
It's a very big challenge.
But the order of Guru is there. Isn't it? Srila Prabhupada has given us a standing order that you establish Varnashrama, that you establish self-sufficient communities amidst all of the challenges that are there. So, for the success of a disciple is to actually take those orders from Guru and kind of like blindly follow them, practically. Because knowing that it is coming in parampara. Whatever acharyas instruct, whatever they speak, that is to happen. How? We don't know. So Prabhupada also explains that our success is not in seeing this result, or that result. Our success is in our sincere endeavor. Then,
Results.
yeah.
Sometimes it even comes to committing aparat maharaj actually, especially when you are working with devotees. It's a very big challenge. At least, I'm not speaking from.
Well, to become Krishna conscious in Kali Yuga is a big challenge. Huh?
So
To become Krishna conscious anytime in the material world is a big challenge because Maya is there. Maya is very strong, and she becomes stronger at different times, like in Kali Yuga. So yeah, it's
balancing everything, not committing offenses and managing and doing a lot of that.
Krishna consciousness is very much a balancing act. Yes. Oh, our Vasudam Prabhu.
Krishna never forget Krishna.
Huh?
Always remember Krishna, never forget.
Yes, the golden rule.
That only.
Absolutely, yeah. Vasudam Prabhu. He usually comes a little earlier with his magic container. Okay, we can close here. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki. Gaur Pimanandi. You know how to close? Can close? Jai. Sibo. Thank you. So, where have you been? Busy? You're working now?